was so limited to get all these tricks that they wanted to land for this part, like to rip through their checklist, that they were like surgeons. I mean, they would be like, okay, clicked off a 540, I clicked off an alley-oop, I did a turn, I did my flip, and then it was like on to the next because they knew they just didn't have time. My name's Blake Kueny. I've been shooting for 12 years, and the best surfing I've ever seen was at Cobblestones in Western Australia in 2012 with John Florence, Albee and Meola. I mean, the coolest thing about shooting John was he was like the spearhead in where we were gonna surf, when we were gonna surf. It was always just like catch up. So he had Cobblestones in his mind from the onset of that project. He had seen it in other videos that started to pop up, and he just thought it was like the perfect air wind to be able to like try all the new shit that he's been like testing out. This was a really like unique time. He had just qualified for tour. He wanted to both film projects and win world titles. That was his goal, and that's what we were out there to try and capture, was make the best movie while he was still competing at a really high level. We are filming for the unnamed project, which became done at the time. During that time, he had specific gaps in his schedule from contest, which dictated where we were gonna free surf and capture waves for the movie. And why not invite Matt and Albee to come, and we'll try and make a section out of it. We bounce over to West Oz. For us, it's a domestic flight. Matt and Albee have to fly across the world from Hawaii. The logistics of getting to Cobblestones, it's about 4.5 hours south of Perth in Australia, just outside Margaret River. There was no swell on the horizon. We had no idea what we were gonna get. This was booked like, 2 or 3 months in advance, and it was like a very slow buildup, and then we basically filmed the whole entire section in like 2 sessions. Once it happened quick. Those guys were frothing and just really excited to get the opportunity that they had been looking for, and it all came together, which was pretty scary knowing we were bumping into that next contest window. John's very unique in the sense that like, he wants to go surf with Gabe Medina when he's like competing. At that time, he wanted to compete against the best competitors. But then when he wanted to go make a surf part about airs, he wanted to do it with the best in the world, and who he thought was Albee and Matt Meola. And they truly were at the time. It seemed like Matt and Albee were just like, this is the heat. Like me going out with John, like going head to head, who's gonna get the best clip, felt like you were watching a contest. And these guys were like really pushing each other at what was possible. Matt Meola's huge backflip was like pretty big for the time. I think the only one that I remember was like Flynn Novak. And then Albee was trying to go for that double alley-oop spin thing, never been done. All these guys were trying to, compete for each other as if it was a heat, but it was just a part. It was the 2 afternoon sessions. It was so consistent. Every ramp was there. Like, they just had to land the trick. Roll up to Cobblestones in the morning, and it would be offshore, and it just looked like the most fun wave to any surfer in the world. It's like perfect 4 to 6 foot, and you're like, God, this is like the most gorgeous wave. Like, can we just go for a nice little session? Nah, let's go have lunch. Like, not enough wind yet. They wanted a shitload of wind. The wind would blow into them and just create like a suction effect to their feet so they could spin and do whatever they wanted. And that is what is so unique to that wave, is the wind direction, I think, into it. Any surfer, like normal surfer, would not even want to go surf out there. I think the biggest danger to Cobblestones by far is the sharks. I think at this time they were putting like dead cows on buoys out in the water And then like these shark boats would come out and like scoop up these things because they were like basically killing sharks to eradicate the shark population to like make it more surfable, if you will. But yeah, that was pretty crazy. Like you'd see that shark boat out there and you're like, they're chumming up the water. Like it's not a good time to go. And that freaked those guys out pretty bad. The time was so limited for them to get all these tricks that they wanted to land for this part, like to rip through their checklist. They were like surgeons. The one session, it was like one afternoon at Cobbles. John goes out, boom, he clicks an alley-oop. Okay, he's done. Next trip, stale fish. Then he does like frontside grab. He just starts going through all the different ones. He's like, okay, I'm good. The only thing I need to do in the next session is this, and then we should be good on the part and we can wrap it. And I was like, you just clicked off a whole part in 2 sessions. This guy was building a house of a movie part in an hour and a half. That chemistry of them in a room and on a trip was just mind-blowing. I mean, the psych levels were through the roof. They could not contain themselves. Their want and need to like figure out how to rotate, like they would go home every night, watch Travis Rice and backcountry snowboarding to like look at how they would grab and then how that would change their flip access. And then you would see them the next day in that next session and they're like, oh, there it is. You know, like when you guys prompt the question, what's the best session you've ever filmed or witnessed? There's a lot of sessions that go into my mind, even just from this project. Tahiti was one of like the most magical moments I think I've ever witnessed in front of my life, but that was one wave. I wouldn't call it, or 2 waves, I wouldn't call it a session. There's some magnificent pipe sessions, both from View from a Blue Moon and Done, but none of them just really kind of amounted to what these West Dodge 2 sessions were back to back. They were equally as mesmerizing. I think it has to do with that checklist mentality that I was talking about. Those guys really going out there with a mission and executing on their goals and doing stuff that had never been done before. It felt like you were watching the best contest you'd ever seen, but it was for a video part and just a session between 3 friends that were trying to push the limits of what you could do above the lip. And I think that it deserves its place in history as one of the most progressive sessions ever surfed.